Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, Kevin. If anybody knows what that reference is, put a comment and I'll buy you one free disc. Well, it won't be free. I'll buy you one disc from the Bria store if you know where that's from. Restrictions apply. Limited one thing per customer. So, welcome to my video. This is my take two. The first one was 28 minutes. No way anybody's watching that. So we're gonna try to keep this down in the 10 to 14 minute range. So here we go. This video is all about my previous tournament this past weekend, the Bria Invasion up at Warwick and Oasis. So before I start, I just wanna give a huge shout out to the maintenance crew up at Warwick and up at Oasis and the volunteers and the guys and gals who work there. I thought the courses were in absolute dynamite shape. Oasis looked phenomenal. It was just great. I can't say enough. I actually got to play both my rounds with Charlie, who claimed to be one of the people who maintained it. Seemed like a respectable guy, so I took his word for it. So he told me a lot of the work that was going into it. I thought it was a fantastic job. So hats off to all of them. So let's jump right into the things. I'm trying to keep this as close as possible. So this is a recap of the event. If you don't want to watch, have a fantastic afternoon, evening, or morning, wherever you are, whatever you are doing. For those of you who are staying, here we go. Started off at Oasis. I got one practice round in at Oasis before I played. I played some of the wrong tees and some of the wrong baskets, but that's okay. I got a good look at most of the holes. So, but it helped that I played with two of the locals. So they kind of gave me their take on some of the holes. So I finished 7 down for the first round, which was 997 rated. I felt great. I got off the tee okay on most of the holes. I made almost all of the putts that I had inside circle 1. I think I missed 1. But I thought I played pretty well. So I had 1 bogey, and it was a hole that scared me more than any of the other holes that I played, which was hole 3. So if you've never played Oasis before, which, by the way, if you have a chance to go play Warwick, if you're playing Warwick, don't go play blue to blue. Go play silver to blue, or blue to silver, and then go play Oasis. It's just worth it. So it's a OB all along the left side of the hole the entire way, and then after you make the corner on the right side of the OB fence. You got to make the landing area, I guess you would say. So most people are probably going to throw a forehand just to get to the corner, or a backhand turnover with either a putter or a mid. But the worry of the cut rolling out to the OB is there. So that's what you don't want to happen. So I practiced in my round of forehand, threw it straight out of bounds because my forehand is fantastic. So I stepped up on that tee and I went backhand with my most flippy putter that I have, hit a tree, landed safe, no problem. Second shot, yanked it right into the fence. Perfect, right? So I have a straight look down the tunnel. So I figured all I have to do is throw a disc straight. So what do I grab? A rock 3. So I pipe it right down, lands nice and soft, 15 feet from the basket for par. Doinked it, right? Just didn't hit it. Didn't throw the disc, nose down, hit the front of the cage. So that was my only bogey of the round. So that kind of stunk because it should have been a par and I should have shot 8 down, which would have gotten me on lead card. But sometimes things just don't happen. But played pretty well. I was happy with the way that I missed the easy par 4s. That's the only thing that really stunk. Like hole 11 was a soft 4. Hole 2 is a soft 4. Hole 6 I got, which was another soft 4. I missed those guys. And they stunk. Hole 4 hole 2 I just threw a terrible drive. I think on hole 7, my last hole for the round, I threw without doubt the best shot I've ever thrown in my career. I know that's saying a lot because I've thrown lots of shots, but this one was just perfect. The fairway was kind of drifted a little bit to the right, and then it opened up to a pretty big field. So you had to make the gap, and you wanted to keep the disc turning as you made the gap. Oh man, I cranked on a C-line FD, and it just dead center of the fairway the whole way. It's a par 4. I probably had like 90-foot jumper for eagle. I didn't run it, by the way. Elevated basket on rocks. I just plopped it right at the bottom for maybe a 20-footer. I made that one, thankfully. Finished around with a birdie. So very happy with my performance at Oasis for only playing it one time in my warm-up. I played it 5 years ago in the next gen Northeast qualifier. but I haven't been back there since. So was happy. Walked over to Warwick. Dun-dun-dun. I was tied for third on chase card at 7 down. Leaders were at 10. So I figured just got to beat the guys in my card to stay in the mix, right? That was it. Didn't care about cashing. Didn't care about placement. Just wanted to play good golf. First hole, hit first available. Took a bogey. Well, this was hole 2, my starting hole. Hole 3, hit the first tree. Upshot was so bad that the trees felt so bad they kicked me back inside circle 1. Made the putt. All right, so wasn't getting off the tee well. I got a birdie. Overall, I'll sum up my round in 5 holes. All right, and then we're going to talk about one of the other holes that happened. So hole 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay. Is it hole 8? Hole 8, 9, 10, 11. I shot +3 on it when I played in that event I just mentioned earlier. I played it twice. Double bogey and bogey. So I wanted revenge. The hole didn't change. I wanted revenge. So got off the tee. Great. I was this close to being out of bounds on the road. Threw a forehand flex with my FD3 as my upshot. Went a little long, but still inside circle 1, looking at maybe a 20-footer. Had a pretty stiff headwind. So I figured, okay, let's just throw a stagger spinner at it and we'll aim, middle of the set of the chain. So if it lifts, it's going to lift into right under the band. No problem. Bent, threw nose down. Can't nose down a headwind putt. Hit the front of the basket. So that's one missed putt inside the circle. Hole 9, terrible drive. Phenomenal upshot. I was blind. I couldn't see. I didn't even make it over the hill. 20-footer. Again. Bam. Hit the band. Right? So that's 2. Hole 10. Don't even try to it. Right? I just try to dump my drive over it. It's literally the tee, a wall of trees, and then the basket's over here in the corner. So most people, there's like a sneaky left gap if you can throw a forehand that way. I can't. So most people just go a big spike hyzer over the top or like a drifty fairway driver that's going to get all the way over there. I don't. I threw a gator, which they have no glide and they dump. So I threw it on a spike, hoping just to get down on the other side, pitch up, take my 3. Well, I must have bounced, rolled, landed inside circle 1, 15 feet, doink, hit the front of the cage. So that's 3 missed putts inside of 20 feet. Get to hole 11. This is the one with the water. Practice round, threw a forehand flex, which I can't do. Parked it. So in my round, obviously I wasn't doing that. That's lunatic. That's lunatic? I don't think lunatic is the right word. So instead, I threw a rock 3 dead straight. Inside circle 1, 20 feet, stuck behind a tree, had to straddle out, which is no problem for me because I normally straddle putt. Hit the band. So that's 4 putts in a row inside of 20 feet. 4 birdie. Well, hole 9 they played as a 3 on the scorecard, but I think it's a 4. Yeah, just didn't make them. Missed all of them. So I missed all of them. After the front 9, I was 3 over par with 1 birdie. And that stunk. That was terrible. So that was basically my entire round. So I'll talk about two important things that happened during the round. Hole 14, I'll try to explain the holes if you haven't played it. You're starting on top of a hill, wide open hole, comes into a narrow tunnel, goes straight. The green is basically an island with water all the way around it. Well, I guess that islands have water. That was stupid, right? Could have said it was a peninsula, but I think it's an island. Might be a peninsula, who knows? So I threw a Mako 3 off the tee just to get to the gap. Went a little bit in, threw a rock up, got to it inside circle 1. Cool, awesome, fantastic. Lead card's behind us, which has your former, I think 2010 USDGC champ, Steve Brinster. And I'm walking to my disc, getting myself ready, loosening my shirt up so it doesn't get tugged, drying my hands, and here I look at Steve's drive. Here it's coming. His drive was flying at me, and I thought it was going to drop. I honestly thought he was going to land short of the island, but the thing never came out of the air. It just kept carrying. And Steve's drive landed right next to my upshot. So Steve was on the island in 1, in the air, not going over the top, which apparently is is crazy. The chickens think they're crazy too. But he was inside circle 1 putting, right? Side note, I made my putt for birdie. Cool, I know, cool. But Finley and I went and looked at, I played with Finley second round. We went and looked at where Steve was. I mean, where Steve was. And we were like, I don't know. It's a tough, even if you're straddling, it was tough. But Charlie on our card, who knows Steve, plays with Steve, said, nah, he's got this low spinner with his Omegas that he's just going to jam into the basket. And I was like, all right, listen, I believe that he can do it, but I think it's going to be tough. Well, of course, Steve, canned it. I don't know if he canned it. Or we heard the cheers while we were on 15's tee pad. So Gatekeeper Media filmed that. So when that footage comes out, just obviously watch the first 13 holes, but just fast forward to watch that real quick because it's stupid. So yeah, we heard the cheers on 15. They walked up and he was like, yeah, I made it. And we were just like, it's just dumb. So crazy. So he does it. So anyway, that's fine. In case you're wondering, I didn't birdie any other holes after. I lied, I birdied 17, but that's an easy par 4 from where we are for MPO. So I was going into 18 in hole 1 at even par. I threw a roller on 18, got nowhere. Threw a second roller on 18, got nowhere. Threw a great rock shot from the tree line, parked the basket, took a 4. And hole 1. So the reason I want to talk about hole 1 is because I think it's important information, especially if you're new to playing the game or if you're starting in a competitive disc golf on what happens during rounds where there are certain things you can't see. So hole 1 at Warwick, you have the basket and you have OB to the left, but it's up the top of the hill and the OB goes down the hill, which you cannot see from the tee pad. I threw my disc, it landed short, cut rolled, and went out of bounds. It was at the bottom of the hill up against the barn. So when we got up to the basket, we didn't see my disc, then we saw it up against the barn and we said, crap. So we immediately started the conversation on where did I go out of bounds? So there was a spot that put me at 20 feet from the basket, and then there was a spot that put me at about 80, 90 feet from the basket. So when the conversation was going, obviously I'm looking for the best interest of myself, but I'm also trying to be as fair, and the conversation couldn't have gone any better, right? I played with Steve Broad as well. Steve was like, there's no way we're giving you the spot up top, which was 100% right. We couldn't give me the spot up top because, we don't know. That's the best spot they could have given me. We couldn't have done that. And I agreed. There's no way we could have the spot up top because we just didn't know where I crossed. And then he also was like, we don't really want to give you the spot all the way down at the bottom of the hill because, we're not mean people, but you could have crossed down there. So we didn't know. So the conversation continued. We were trying to figure out, did the disc cut roll here? Did it pop up and roll all the way down? Whatever it was. So the dialogue was fantastic, and I really appreciated my card mates for doing that. We came to a compromise, which was almost essentially in the middle of where the OB line goes. So we were all happy. I walked my meter in, dropped my mini. There was a guy who was playing in the cart in front of us who was on hole 2's tee pad when I threw, but at this point he was already in 2's fairway. He must have heard the ending of our conversation and chimes in saying, if you're discussing the guy who cut rolled, he rolled OB all the way down by the barn. So obviously when I heard that, I was annoyed because the mark I had was obviously in a better spot, but I appreciated the conversation with my card mates. I appreciated it, right? So I obviously wasn't looking to be we weren't arguing that I was going to be in the front, but we were also compromised that I wasn't going to be all the way down at the bottom. So when he said that, it crushed me because I was like, this, we spent a good amount of time talking about it, and so when we heard that, because obviously I don't want to cheat anybody, but I also, it sucked because I was already playing poorly, and then I put myself, so when we heard that, basically well, listen, if he saw it go out of bounds down there, how are we going to argue that? So, and then I honestly have myself to blame because I actually don't know what the rule is. So I asked a couple people, and apparently there is no set. There might be. So if you know what it is, please comment on this so you can tell me, because I'm not 100% sure. I always was under the impression that our group's ruling was final. I also believe that you are allowed to have input from witnesses or spotters or certified officials that information is allowed to be taken into consideration, but it's not the final decision. So obviously, we took what he said into consideration, and we put me all the way down at the bottom of the hill where I belonged. And I didn't hit the putt, and I took a bogey to finish my round at +1, 945 rated. Terrible, right? Absolutely awful. So first off, for my 3 card mates, I put Finley, Steve Brode, and Charlie. I want, if for some reason they watch this, I want to say thank you guys so much for that conversation, just to try to come up with a spot. I like I said before, I think the dialogue was great. The outcome was terrible, but the dialogue was great. So yeah, so I played terrible golf. Finley absolutely shredded the course. On my card, I think he shot 8 down, which was, I want to say 10-20 something, but he played fantastic. But ultimately, spoiler alert, Steve won. But yeah, so 945 +1. It was really bad. I did not play well. My putting was terrible. So my takeaway from this event, I'm trying to keep this video short. My takeaway from this event was I need to pick a putting stance. I go between straddle and stagger all the time. I straddle inside of 20 and I stagger outside. I'm comfortable doing that, but I can't do that anymore. I have to pick one. I think I'm going to go to stagger because I need stagger for distance for myself. I feel like I get a better percentage of making it from distance. Yeah, I finished tied for 8th, which I think was last cash. I'm not sure, but I don't really care about cashing. I just wanted to play good golf. So going from 997 at Oasis to 940 at Warwick was it was a long hour and 40-minute car ride home to think about all the things I did wrong. And it all came down to putting. That was really it. It all came down to putting. When you don't execute, you don't play good golf, and I didn't do that. So. Yeah, so huge shout out again to my teammates who are up there in Warwick, who take care of the courses, to Joey Apples for co-TDing alongside of Bill. I think the event, I mean, from my mind, the event ran extremely smooth, with 2 courses, 130 something people. I thought it was great. I mean, that's the experience I had. It was fantastic. But yeah, so again, huge shout out to my sponsor, Bria. If you haven't had a chance to go check out the store in Wall, please go do so. Bill's been pulling stuff out of his bag of goodies. I know there are some 19 Sexton Firebirds there, some Sky Gods, some stuff that you're never going to find again. So, and he had some S-Line DD3s. I don't know if he has any more, but he had them, and those aren't going to be produced anymore. So, yeah, so shout out to them, shout out to Bria for this. Also for the Pro Series, which is great. It's the only reason I went to Warwick. It's the 3rd event in the Pro Series. So the score was just updated. I'm in 4th place. Top 3 place skins, so it looks like I'm got to go play the Doc Kramer Classic, which is kind of frightening since it's Brandon Copenjan, baby girl's home course. And he's in 5th place behind me, so I guess I have to go practice Doc so that I can embarrass him and then give him a big hug and a kiss. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. As always, if you have any questions about anything related to disc golf, about a course, about a round, about discs you throw, I know there's a guy who just returned my Essence to me, so I hooked him up with a Discmania Origin, and he sent me a message telling me that it was one of the best decisions that he made was to put that disc in his bag. It's really helped shape some shots in his game. So, yeah, anything you need help with, let me know. So I'm going to go to 20 minutes. I'm going to finish this in a minute. So what's next up for me? I got into the Silver Series, which I'm stoked about, at Stafford. I cannot wait to go down there and play. The Silver Series is going to be some of the bigger pro names are going to be there. It's going to be great to compete against them. Super excited to get down there and play. And then after that is the National Tour event at Iron Hill, which I'm also super excited to get to. Sorry, I just moved the camera. Because I haven't played Iron Hill since the last NT and I finished 45th. So this time I'm hungry to get down there and get to attack that course. So those are both at the end of August. And then after that, I'm playing Doc as of right now on October 3rd. 2nd is the other, 3rd. Bill just made a whole video about it, and I watched a little bit about it, and then the baby needed a diaper change, so I stopped watching the video. So I'm going to go back and watch that, but I think it's on the 3rd for pros, 2nd for AMs, and then it's flip-flop with the Yetter, so you can play the Greater Eastern AM Cup or the Yetter. And then the pro am day I died. I went over 20 minutes, so thank you for watching the video. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, complaints, let me know. Have a great evening. Goodbye.